Welcome back to Art and Soul, where creativity meets consciousness and the inner artist meets the inner leader. I'm Tristan, and today's episode is one of my favorites of this entire season. Creative sovereignty and the importance of the awakened, conscious feminine leadership. Because let's be honest, many of us have experienced the shadow side of women in leadership, the competitiveness, the insecurity, the subtle power plays, the I'll work longer for less if it means I stay in charge energy. But underneath all of that is history, is trauma, is patriarchy, is karma, is conditioning, and is centuries of women fighting for a seat at the table that was never built for them. And today we're going to talk about how we break that cycle for ourselves, for our art, and for the generations to come. Creative sovereignty is the ability to stay true to your artistic voice, your inner knowing, your intuition, and your spiritual direction, regardless of who's in charge, what the industry expects, the politics around you, or the noise of competitive environments. Creative sovereignty is, I know who I am, I know how I create, and I trust my inner voice more than the outer pressure. It's freedom, it's clarity, it's alignment, and it's being anchored in your soul. Throughout my career, I've collaborated with many incredible women who were supportive, inspiring, visionary, grounded, and deeply conscious. But I've also seen the other side, the side where women, especially in positions of leadership, sometimes become catty, competitive, territorial, threatened, insecure, hyper-controlling, and willing to overwork themselves to prove worth. And I want to be very intentional here. This is not because women are like this. This is because women have historically not been allowed to lead. For thousands of years, the collective feminine has been silenced, suppressed, dismissed, undervalued, overworked, underpaid, overlooked, and placed in competition with one another for limited opportunities. So when a woman finally reaches a leadership position, often after twice the effort for half the recognition, the body remembers the threat. The nervous system remembers the scarcity. The lineage remembers the suppression. The grasping, the competitiveness, the insecurity. It is not a flaw. It is karma. It is conditioning. It is a trauma response. And when women don't feel safe, they cling, not because they want to dominate, but because they've never been taught how to lead from a place of worthiness. This is why consciousness in female leadership is essential. In my own career, I've worked under women who were brilliant and talented, but so afraid of losing their position that they held on with white knuckles. They worked longer hours for less pay. They pushed themselves past burnout. They viewed other women as threats, and they believed that leadership meant sacrifice. They equated overworking with value, and sometimes that energy spilled onto the team. I've seen women who were naturally gifted artists become stressed, rigid, and controlling, not because they were bad leaders, but because they were leading from fear instead of consciousness. From the outside, it looked catty. It looked competitive. It looked like power games. But underneath, it was survival programming. Most women were never modeled healthy leadership. They were modeled scarcity, perfectionism, proving, pleasing, self-sacrifice, comparison, survival, and fear. So when they rise in leadership, they bring that wound with them. This is why conscious feminine leadership is not just important, it's revolutionary. A conscious woman in leadership is a different frequency. She leads from intuition, not fear, from collaboration, not competition, from clarity, not control, from grounding, not anxiety, and from abundance, not scarcity. She uplifts rather than suppresses, creates space instead of taking it, protects creative flow instead of disrupting it, celebrates others' gifts instead of feeling threatened, encourages rest as much as productivity, and trusts her intuition, leads with emotional intelligence, honors her boundaries, and works with the feminine rhythm, not against it. And she understands that when the people around her thrive, the whole project thrives. This is leadership aligned with the future. So creative sovereignty doesn't mean isolation. It doesn't mean rebellion. It doesn't mean ego. It means your creativity is guided by your inner truth, not by other people's expectations. It means you stand in your frequency even when others wobble. It means you remain spacious even when others constrict. It means you rise without pushing, pulling, grasping, or competing. And it means your leadership, even if you're not in a leadership title, is energetic. You lead through vibration, and your very presence can help heal the feminine leadership wound. Close your eyes if you can. Place a hand on your heart and one on your lower belly. And say quietly to yourself, my creativity is mine. My voice is mine. My path is mine. I reclaim my sovereignty. Breathe into that and let it fill your body. You do not need permission. You do not need validation. You do not need to shapeshift to be accepted. Your sovereignty is your power. Your consciousness is your leadership. And your feminine energy is your gift to the world. Let the sound clear your field. Let it dissolve comparison. Let it dissolve scarcity. Let it dissolve the old feminine wound. And let it remind you of who you are. Women in leadership are rising, and with consciousness, compassion, and creativity, we're rising differently. You're not here to repeat the old patterns. You're here to heal them. You're here to model a new kind of feminine power, one that is grounded, intuitive, collaborative, and sovereign. Thank you for joining me for this powerful episode. Until next time, stay sovereign, stay conscious, and stay in your frequency.